Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman has floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, last Friday after we adjourned, I stayed to watch the inauguration and the peaceful transfer of power between President Obama and President Trump with many colleagues here. Afterwards, I drove home. My daughter, a junior at VCU, called me, and she excitedly told me how she was going to follow me back on 95 to Northern Virginia to join the Women's March on Washington, where so many other young women her age would be attending. On Saturday, Alana, my husband, and I joined hundreds of thousands of women and men, including many colleagues in this body and down the hall, along with our governor, our lieutenant governor, and attorney general. We joined one of the largest peaceful marches in American history. All of us taking part exercised our First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. We sought to remind our new president how important it is to us that he protect our precious civil liberties. In addition to well over 500,000 people marching in Washington, estimates place the number of participants nationwide at over 3 million at more than 500 separate locations, and every state was represented. I cannot actively put into words the feeling I had marching with my daughter and my husband and being surrounded by so many passionate women of all ages, daughters, mothers, grandmothers, as well as many men of all ages, as far as the eyes could see. Women marched in a shared belief of so many issues that are the ones that are so important to us, the ones that we should be making decisions about our own bodies, that health care decisions should be made by us, the fact that repealing the Affordable Care Act would do irreparable harm to women's health and the health of our family and loved ones. We joined together to send a message that defunding Planned Parenthood would eliminate an option that has been used by so many for basic health care needs. We marched because of a strong belief in pay equity and because we affirm that sexual assault and domestic violence of any kind cannot and will not be tolerated. We raised our voices against racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, homophobia, xenophobia, and misogyny. The last time I felt remotely close to the way that I felt on Saturday was when I helped organize the Million Mile March against gun violence back in 2000. Well, during that march, a great amount of my time was spent dealing with logistics. This year, I had the opportunity to take in the magnitude of the movement that the Women's March created. The Women's March in Washington lived up to its ideals as a peaceful march. Not one person out of the hundreds of thousands marching were arrested in Washington on Saturday, nor in Chicago, where 400,000 marched, nor in Los Angeles, where hundreds of thousands took part. Marches were not limited to large cities or blue states. Thousands and thousands of women marched in states from Alabama to Arizona, from Texas to Tennessee. Having participated in these two large gatherings, I am consistently reminded of how incredibly fortunate we are to live in a country where we can peaceably assemble without the fear of physical reprisal or criminal repercussions. It's people banding together and speaking with one voice that truly creates pivotal moments in our history. Whether it was women suffragettes who reached the ballot box, or March on Washington, where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King spoke of his dream, marching and peacefully assembling gives us a voice to those who might not have felt that they were heard. It allows the average Americans to speak up about what they see as unjust. The ability to peaceably assemble reaffirms our American values, and we cannot risk that they would be infringed upon. What is most distressing to me is a growing effort this year that we have seen in several states to infringe upon the First Amendment right. We are fortunate that a bipartisan effort from our Senate colleagues right down the hall defeated a measure yesterday that could have increased penalties on peaceful protesters. It's up to us to shine a light wherever and whenever these freedoms are infringed upon. In closing, we cannot forget what so many fought for: the right to be free, the right for free speech, the right to freely practice religion, the right to an open press, and the right to peaceably assemble. I was proud to assemble on Saturday, and I know that so many of my colleagues here were too. Furthermore, standing with my daughter and so many young people left me truly confident that future generations will stand up for what they believe in. They will stand up for what they believe in and continue to exercise their rights and speak up to their leaders. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.